So let's just get really real. Are you fearful? Are you afraid of the unknown? Now, if you answer yes, you are not alone. This is one of the biggest complaints I see people tell me that they have before they start working with me. They say, you know what? I'm afraid. I'm afraid of spirit. I'm afraid of making any changes in my life. And largely it's due because you're not really trusting your intuition or you don't know how to trust your intuition. But today I'm actually going to be talking about giving you tips to help you make big life changes in your business and in your life for more abundance. So stay tuned. Welcome to Spiritual and Ambitious. I'm your host, Whitney McNeil. I'm a certified medium and spiritual teacher, and I help spiritual and ambitious souls just like you live your life purpose through your career and attract abundance by connecting into your intuition and spirit guides. Let's get spiritual and ambitious. So before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to all of you who are out there and have connected with me over on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. So you can tell me what your aha moments were and also any topics you want me to talk about here on this podcast. You can find me over at Instagram.com/messenger of spirit. Pretty much my handle on all the social media platforms are at messenger of spirit. Also, if you haven't reviewed the podcast, I would love for you to, because we are having a podcast review giveaway. So I'll link to that in the show notes too. So let's talk about embracing the unknown. Really, it's an issue of control. We don't know what's around the corner. This happens when we want to change jobs. We want to start our own business. We want to change the way our business is going and pivoting and making what feel like really scary changes. This is also when we are moving into different territory, whether it's relationships, different areas of learning, just basically kind of getting into this place where it feels scary because we don't know the outcome. What this really is control. We can't control the outcome. Now, there's many great things when we start looking into the unknown, such as manifesting. We can't control the outcome. We can kind of shift and push the energy into a certain way, because that's what manifesting is. We are really putting our emotions and our thoughts into a certain direction to see it manifest, but we're not necessarily going to be able to control every way that it comes out into fruition. Well, our intuition is the same, right? So you can't control what's on the other end of the messages you're receiving. Sure, you can control how consistent you are and how to receive your messages, but you have no idea what your spirit guides are going to say. And so sometimes we're afraid of the answers. We're like, I don't know what my guides are going to tell me, and I don't know if I want to hear the answers. So that can be part of fearing the unknown, is that we are afraid it's not going to work out the way that we think it should, which is ego, which is control. Now, ego is not bad. We need it to really have logic in our lives and to balance out our intuitive part. But if ego is taking over and trying to control every single thing that we do, there's no room for the magic. There's no room for the intuition. So I hope you listen to my episode on trusting your spirit guides, because they're always working in your favor. But I'm going to give you some real tips to utilize. So one thing that I want you to do is I want you to kind of nail down into what is the core issue. So I'm afraid to make this change. So many times I'll hear people complain about a pattern or something going on in their life, and they complain about it, but they don't actually take the action or listen to their intuition to then take the aligned action. So what's the core issue going on? Are you afraid that you can't do whatever it is? So let's say that you want to start your own business and you're afraid to leave your job. Are you afraid that you're not going to be able to provide for yourself? Well, when you start kind of peeling the layer of the onion there, it could be that you're also afraid that you just don't have what it takes, that you aren't confident in yourself. And maybe when you kind of move into what is the real seed issue, it could be worthiness. I just don't feel worthy of this. So I'd like for you to just get acquainted on what's the core issue. Now, many times it can be fear, but it always boils down to something else. I see a lot of worthiness blocks when people work with me inside of my program. It's nice to know, is it fear? What is it? Well, let's say it's fear. Here is what I really would love for you to do. Imagine that your life is on a movie screen. You are watching each frame and each scene, and it's come to this place that you don't know what's around the next corner. And so it's your life, but I'd like for you to just take a couple deep breaths, breathe in, breathe out, and imagine that you are grabbing the popcorn and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I have no idea what's on the next screen. What's around the corner? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. This can help you turn your nervous feelings into excitement. Really, our fear, our nerves, whether it is no confidence in ourselves, whether it's I'm scared because of XYZ, it's in the solar plexus. It's the same energy of excitement. So we can utilize that energy as a blocking point to stop us dead in our tracks, or we can use that energy to lift us up and have a boost. It reminds me of adrenaline, right? It's like I can go, I can do it, I can move, I can be in this place of go mode, gives me more energy to accomplish my goals, run the extra mile. Or we can just use it as the freeze mode where I'm just going to stand here because I'm really scared and my body is not going to move. So when that happens, take that place of, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I know that my spirit guides always have me, like no matter what I think it's supposed to be around the corner, I know my spirit guides have my back. And I'm going to eat the popcorn and just get really excited to see what it is. So that's one trick that you can utilize to shift your energy. Now, another trick to utilize to really shift your energy is to just do it. Just do the thing. So I used to be really scared of flying, like to the point where I was in the freeze mode. I would really nitpick everything. I would really be upset about choosing the flight. Like, which one should I choose? Which one has the best energy? I look for number patterns. And then I would like survey everybody on the flight. I just got really kind of like, I was almost looking for issues. The more that I just did it, I just got on the plane, the more that my energy said, this is okay. It's all right. Yes, if you're listening out there and you're thinking, but this woman talks to her spirit guides and like, why was she nervous? There's just something different energetically. Yes, we can talk to our spirit guides and we know that they're saying it's going to be okay, but our body can react from old patterning, old trauma, who knows why. It's just the way it is. So I just had to do it. And when I did it, I got to see, oh, this isn't so bad. Oh, I did it and it all worked out okay. Now it's interesting because we can tend to have a positive outlook or a negative outlook, right? Every experience in our life ends up teaching us something as long as we're making decisions from our intuition. And you can tell your spirit guides, I want to learn lessons from love, and they'll provide more opportunities for you to do that. But if you're the type of person that's like, oh my gosh, it's never going to work out, or oh my gosh, it didn't work out, it was awful, then I would look a little bit more into that. You can always shift it into a positive perspective. Some people I'll see, let's say that they grew up in a home that didn't have a lot of money and they were scraping by, or they were homeless and they just became an adult. They said, I will never do that again. I'm going to make sure I work really, really hard all the time because I know that I never ever want to be in that position again. What's interesting is my husband, when he grew up, he did not have a lot of money in the house and, in fact, lived in women's shelters when he was a child and they were homeless. It was a really tough time. But now, as an adult, he says, because I went through that, I know it was all like it was okay. It worked out. I learned lessons from it. And now I'm not afraid because I know whatever life throws at me is going to be okay. You could take that experience and really create a money block and be really fearful and never take a risk because you don't want to end up in a position like you were before. Or you could say, you know what, I got through that just fine. And it wasn't the best experience like going through it, but I learned some things and I wouldn't be who I am today without it. I'm positive. So it's really interesting. Perspective is going to be another key point here. So, what kind of person are you? Are you always seeing the negative or are you always seeing the positive? Now, my husband's talking about writing a book and inspiring others. And he's learned so much, and really, it's affected his life in a positive way. So, while we want immediate gratification, like I never want to be uncomfortable, sometimes we need to get a little uncomfortable to learn a certain thing that really shapes and forms who we are. Now, when you are an adult, and you listen to your intuition, your spirit guides only want the most positive and the highest and the best for you. So your lessons do not have to be that way. Now, I would say to you, if you're not listening to your intuition and you're making a decision that is not great, then yes, the ramifications, let's say, of the decision that you made that's not in alignment, yeah, it could affect you in a way that you don't love. Now, when you're working with your spirit guides and your intuition and you make those big leaps and those changes, you take that leap of faith when you just don't see how it's going to be able to work out, but your intuition is telling you to do this, it's going to be in a place where, yes, this worked out, or let's say that you had some lessons to learn. Your spirit guides are helping you make it a speed bump instead of a mountain. So when you are young, yes, you have spirit guides, but largely you're kind of in this place where your parents kind of tell you what to do and you have to do it. When you're an adult, you have more freedom and you get to listen to your intuition more fully to make those decisions for yourself. So if you're out there going, "Oh my gosh, I'm afraid. I don't want to, make a huge wrong decision." That's why it's important to really listen to it and know that your guides are not going to put you in a situation that's super dire. It's going to be, hey, we're going to help you get past this. And here's a quick little lesson for you to learn. Or sometimes you can choose to draw that lesson out. It's up to you. You can make it fast, you can make it longer, but they're here to help circumvent that. So, what I'm trying to tell you is your guides have your back. All right, I'm going to tell you another really cool, I'm going to say, trick to kind of flip the script on the fear, similar to the popcorn, but a little bit different when we come back from this quick break. This episode is sponsored by my free Spirit Guide Masterclass. Inside, you'll learn the 5 C's of Spirit Guide communication, your role with your Spirit Guides, 2 proven effective strategies to stop second guessing yourself and your intuition, and the single most important step to understand your intuitive guidance, along with 4 ways to perceive your spiritual intuitive messages. You'll also be getting a workbook to go through this class as well. You can join at messengerofspirit.com/free class. As a professional psychic medium, I've done tens of thousands of readings, but I felt a call to move more fully into teaching intuition. But I still get so many requests about doing readings. So while I don't do readings anymore, I have brought in some very trusted colleagues who are now available for live 1-hour readings on Zoom. If you would like to book your psychic medium reading, go to messengerofspirit.com/appointments to see our available readers and schedule your Zoom reading today. All right, thanks for listening. Now, one more thing I wanted to share before we move on to our next technique is when you do the thing, when I was telling you, I just got on the plane, you actually create less resistance. So when you just say, yes, I'm going to do it, it starts to flatten out the fear because the fear can't live there anymore. So basically, the fear is saying, don't do it. Let's just wait. Let's just make sure you're not, in a place that's really unsafe, which is great. Thanks, fear, for being there. But sometimes it just makes you very stagnant, right? So really the only kind of fear I think that really we should have is the fear of, oh my gosh, I need to be scared to run right now because an animal's chasing me. and I want to make sure like I'm okay. But we have a lot of psychological fear that comes into society that it has a lot to do with money, abundance, and stress. So we have this perceived fear about things as I can't do this because I can't make a change because. And I remember talking to my mentor, and my mentor was saying, I taught a class on this and we all were raising our vibration, but not many people actually stuck with it because it was too hard for them. Like they didn't want to move past the fear. And I remember hearing him speak and I was like, screw that. I'm going to be the person that does it. And I did it. And I'm so glad I did because now my life is in a place where I love my husband. I love where I live. I love my house. I love my job. So it's more so much better things exist and you create when you get past that fear. So when you do the thing, it creates less resistance and less time for the fear to sit there and fester. All right. So I told you I was going to tell you a technique that is similar to the popcorn, but not. So I want you to imagine when fear comes up that you have this roller coaster of your life, right? So this roller coaster has the ups and the downs and the twists and the turns, and you're on the roller coaster. You're in the seat and you can hear the roller coaster kind of clinking up to the top of the hill. Just continue to move up. And think about all the things you're afraid of. Like if you're like, I just need to take that next step, but I'm afraid to do it. Just let yourself go up, up, up the hill. And the bigger the thing is, see, the bigger the hill is, right? So I want you to just think about all the things you're afraid of. You can choose one, you can choose a couple, whatever feels right to you. When you get to the top, what I'd like for you to do is to see yourself busting through the fear and taking that next step. And I want you to take your hands and take your arms. I want you to just put them up and go, woo, and fly down the hill. So you've been clinking up the hill to the very top, and then you throw your hands up and you go, woo, and you feel yourself be free going down that hill. You finally took the step and visualize taking that step and all the beautiful things that come because you took the step. So this is a fun exercise that I tell my students to do. And I recommend that you try this out. I know that you might be out in public and you're like, Whitney, I can't throw my hands up and go, woo. You can still visualize it and feel it in your energy. I think it's important to hear the sound. You can see it, you can feel it, you can know it in your energy. Okay, so that's a really fun one. And then the last one that I'd love to tell you to do is super fun too. Okay, when you feel fearful, I'd like for you to find out why and determine, well, what's the next step? Like, what outcome would I love? I'd like for you to visualize yourself completing this outcome and just being really positive about it and seeing the best and the highest. Now, you might be wondering, well, what do you just tell me that I can't like actually control the outcome? I told you can push it in the right direction. Visualize it working out. You love it. It's amazing. And I want you to pay attention to this visualization. Now, if you can't visualize, you can write it down. You can feel the energy of it. You might even be able to hear yourself talk. And really, what are you doing? Like, what does it mean now that you've taken this next step? And this can be in business and life. What do you look like now? What's your life look like in this new version that after you've taken the step? And see it be the highest and the best outcome. But in this highest version, so you're really tapping into this future version of you. What I'd like for you to do is to ask yourself, what's the highest and most abundant version of myself eating, wearing, visualizing, and doing? And really get this visual or this version of yourself. Just tell yourself, I am the most abundant version of myself now. I am my future self now. You can wear the clothing that your future self was wearing, eat the food, all the things that the future self was doing, but make your decision from the future self. So this can be long and drawn out, like a little ritual that you want to do, or this can be quick. Really tapping into that future self of you, and then understanding I am now my most abundant version of myself. And then make your decision. sometimes we just need a little shift. Sometimes we get stuck in this negative of, oh, it's not working out, or oh, I'm so tired, or oh, I can't do this. When we need to tap into that highest version and then make the decision. What decision would the highest version of you make? And then make it. Now, if you want to do the longer version, you can order the things that the future self was wearing and all of the things I talked about, and kind of have a little ritual like put your candles out, wear the clothing, and then make your decisions that way. Now, I am all about quick and easy because I feel like if I give you long steps, you'll never do them. So I wanted to give you both versions. So if you're out there and you're afraid of the unknown, or you feel like you're manifesting and the things that you were trying to do just aren't working out, realize that one, you're in the middle of the story. So let's visualize and tap into the outcome. Also, utilize these techniques I gave you to shift into the energy of abundance. And realize that when things are changing in your external environment, it's a clear indication that your manifesting is working. Sometimes we see things like, oh my gosh, things are falling away, Whitney. This means I've manifested wrong, or oh, the worst is going to happen. What it means is things need to be cleared away sometimes for the new to come in. You can't hold everything. Energy is flowing, needs to be flowing. If you're holding everything, that means your energy is stagnant, like a stagnant pool of water and the mosquitoes come. We don't want that. We want the energy to flow in and out. So really getting clear on letting things go, and know that even though it might not be working out the way that you think it's supposed to, Spirit is there to help you, and Spirit is there to listen to you. And really, the key is that you continue to move forward in aligned, intuitive action. All right. I hope to see you inside of my free Spirit Guide Masterclass. I'll link to it in the show notes. And I will talk to you in an upcoming episode. But for now, here's to staying spiritual and ambitious. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And if you loved it, would you please share it with a friend? I would also love your review and a reminder to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me at messengerofspirit.com, and you can take the 4 Intuitive Languages quiz and find show notes there too. If you want to connect on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can find me at Messenger of Spirit. If you want to continue the conversation, join my free Facebook group at messengerofspirit.com/group. I'll meet you right here next week. Here's to staying spiritual and ambitious.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.